Iran's plotting other ways to retaliate, including a threat to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial waterway through which about 20% of the world's oil and natural gas shipments pass through. But the White House is warning they'd be foolish to make that decision.
I think that would be suicidal. Their entire economy runs through the Strait of Hormuz. If they want to destroy their own economy and cause disruptions in the world, I think that would be their decision.
If they do that, it'll be another terrible mistake. It's economic suicide for them if they do it. It would be, I think, a massive escalation that would merit a response, not just by us, but from others.
President Trump keeping a close eye on the situation. He posted on Truth, quote, "Everyone keep oil prices down. I'm watching. You're playing right into the hands of the enemy. Don't do it." And from oil to cyber, the DHS is warning of retaliatory cyber attacks from Iran. So that would be really dumb if the Iranians did that, Harold Ford Jr. Not only would they invite a huge response from the world, but they'd hurt their own economy.
More important, they would hurt their own economy. You think about it. First of all, in the history of this strait, they've never closed it. Number two, 20 million barrels of oil a day go through there. 20% of what the world uses. We use 20 million barrels a day as Americans, so 20% of the production each day we use. We, fortunately, are not as impacted by that because of what we do in our own country, the production that has resulted here over the many years. Barack Obama, who probably had the worst posture towards oil and gas, but was as good as any president has been as it relates to oil and gas drilling and exploration in the country, was a big part of that. And now we are where we are. I think if they do this, it also demonstrates to the Iranian people that this regime that's in charge, and I'm not arguing that we should be for regime change, but why would you do something that would hurt your own economy when you've already failed the people economically for so many years? So I agree with Secretary Rubio and Vice President Vance on this. This seems like an odd thing to do. But I got to tell you, you can't put odd things out of the realm when you talk about Iran.
Right. But they do seem totally focused on regime survival at this point.
Yeah, I mean, one would presume. And the greatest way for your regime not to survive is you've already pissed off the United States. Why don't you throw in China, right? Because China, one thing they care most about is China. They don't care about Iran. And China in Q1, so first quarter of this year, 38% of oil that went through the Strait of Hormuz went to China. China cannot allow the Strait of Hormuz to close. That's why Secretary of State Marco Rubio was so smart to say, this strait can't close, China, time to step up. So Iran's not going to do that because then they get China on their bad side. They already have Russia on their bad side. Prior to this all occurring, Putin made the point to emphasize our strategic cooperation agreement with Iran does not include military defense. So you've lost Russia, you've lost China, you've lost the axis of resistance. And Rahm Emanuel made a really smart point last week before all this went off. He said, when the chips are down, the axis of resistance doesn't appear to be found anywhere. And you want to lose China further, isolate them, close the strait.
It's amazing going into this strike, Dana, you go through the list of possible things that they could do. And at this point, it seems like it's not as bad as everybody thought.
Well, and I think that we haven't mentioned a part of this attack and all of this effort that we haven't mentioned yet, and that's the Israelis. The Israelis are so innovative. They're so creative. Their intelligence destroyed Hezbollah and Hamas, or at least degraded their capabilities to the point that Iran, who relies on proxies in order to attack us or the Jewish people in Israel, they can't do it. And now, because Israel did all of that intel work, and then they went in and they got air supremacy, that meant that they could take out missile launchers and rockets. So, and it cleared the way for President Trump to be able to say, all right, I'll do it. And I'll do the final, because you don't have that capability, I'll do that final thing. And it was such a moment of unity that I think the Iranians are just sitting there going, what could we do? We could throw a few missiles to Qatar now. That didn't work. What I am concerned about is the cyber capability, because you could take out missiles and things like that, but it doesn't take that many people to figure out a way to hurt. For example, let's see, what would they do to America? Let's see, ban TikTok. Like, maybe they would actually ban TikTok, and there would be
a good thing. Please do that.
There would be a huge outcry, and American children everywhere would be so upset. The cyber issue, I think, is the one that we have to think about the most. I think the sleeper cells are a concern. We're going to talk about that in a moment, I understand. But Iran, because of what the Israelis did, is kind of unable to respond in a way that they would have, 3 years ago before October 7th.
What do you think's the biggest threat right now that we face from Iran at this point?
Well, we just saw a suicide bomber in Damascus. But I think what's different this time around is that the Arab countries don't have the stomach for it. I think they'll be a part of the solution, not the problem. I think the biggest threat probably is terror here in our country. But I don't know that, I guess my response to that has been if they're already here, they were already here. When you look back at 9/11, it wasn't, to my knowledge, it wasn't like there was a major action by Clinton or Bush that said now's the time. It was planned for a long time, and then 9/11 it happened. I would argue you could juxtapose Trump's actions on the nuclear sites to had Clinton taken out Osama bin Laden when he had the opportunities to. And so for the pacifists out there, sometimes military action is the prevention of war. If you look at Iran's military capabilities, they have a unique Navy. It's built around like the swarm mentality. They have small, agile ships that can attack. They can't really defend. Last time their Navy went up against us in 1988, we sunk half of it, pretty much. So I don't think, it really depends on does President Trump want to keep pushing. From his post that he put out or his statement, I really don't know that any of this stuff is on the table anymore.
Yeah, and from what Jennifer Grisham mentioned, it looks like he's probably going to not pressure Netanyahu, but maybe guide him off this, what looks like an attempt on the life of the Ayatollah. If they can maybe not do that and there's no more retaliatory strikes, then this is almost like the perfect operation.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, his tweets were peace in the hate. Both sides should step back. I'm paraphrasing that last one. I think you're exactly right. He doesn't want regime change. That regime change post was meant for the Ayatollah. It was a warning shot to him. I think it was a head fake, but a warning shot, an important one.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Jennifer Griffin has been unbelievable. We're so fortunate to have her.
And I think you have been unbelievable.
Thank you.
So
Thank
much
you, Jesse.
of what you've said over the weekend, I did not see.
It was
But
good.
I heard
It
a
was
lot
good.
about it.
It was common sense from Harold.
All right, up next, AOC and other angry Democrats pushing impeachment after President Trump's flawless strikes on Iran. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.